Braids, a name synonymous with madness and power, was a figure both feared and revered within the shadowy corridors of the Cabal on Dominaria. Unlike many of her contemporaries who succumbed entirely to the mind-shattering effects of dementia magic, Braids retained a remarkable degree of lucidity. This clarity of mind, juxtaposed with the haunting visions that plagued her, made her an invaluable asset to the Cabal, serving not only as a pit fighter, but also as a trusted lieutenant in the machinations of Dominaria's most notorious criminal organization. Her story, woven intricately with the fate of the Mirari and the epic struggles of the continent of Otaria, is one of tragic ambition, relentless cunning, and ultimate despair. The name Braids was a moniker derived from her distinctive hairstyle, but to those within the Cabal, she was known by her true name, Fulla. Among the innermost circles, she was whispered of as Bara, her secret name, hinting at the many layers of identity she navigated with lethal precision. From the outset, Braids was set apart from the typical dementia caster, where others descended into madness, losing themselves to the nightmarish creatures they conjured. Braids wielded her power with a disturbing coherence, her mind a twisted labyrinth where the boundaries between reality and hallucination blurred, but never fully disintegrated. This made her far more than a mere tool of destruction. She was a strategist, a manipulator, and above all, a survivor. Her first major assignment took her to the Mer Empire, a task that would have unmoored a lesser individual. She was tasked with leading a contingent of Kabbalists to the capital, where their objective was to catalogue and, if possible, appropriate the valuable artifacts hidden within the Empire's vast vaults. It was during this expedition that Braids crossed paths with Laquatus, a scheming and opportunistic merman whose ambitions were as vast as the seas from which he hailed. Laquatus, the cunning politician, struck a deal with Braids. If she could locate the mirari, an artifact of immense and mysterious power, and deliver it to him, she could keep any other artifact she deemed interesting. For a dementia caster whose mind was perpetually on the brink of chaos, such a proposition might have seemed too complex, too fraught with danger. But Braids saw an opportunity. The mirari, however, proved elusive. It was not Braids who first laid hands on it, but Emperor Abushan, the ruler of the Mer Empire. The emperor, in his hubris, attempted to harness the mirari's power, only to bring about his own downfall. In a cataclysmic event, he inadvertently sank a third of Otaria, a catastrophe that not only decimated his own empire, but also sent shockwaves across the continent. In the aftermath, the mirari, now bereft of a master, fell into Braids' possession. Remarkably, she remained immune to its seductive whispers, a testament to the ironclad control she maintained over her fractured psyche. Rather than succumbing to the temptation of wielding the mirari herself, Braids simply pocketed it, returning to Cabal City with the artifact in hand, ready to deliver it to her superiors. Upon her return, Braids resumed her place in the fighting pits, her reputation as a fearsome combatant undiminished. It was during one of these rigged matches, designed more for the amusement of the bloodthirsty crowds than for any true test of skill, that she found herself pitted against an order squad. Despite the odds being stacked against her, Braids fought valiantly, even as her partner Skellum was killed. Though she was eventually rendered unconscious by an order justica, she survived the ordeal, a rare outcome in the brutal world of pit fighting. Her resilience did not go unnoticed, and she quickly recovered, continuing to serve the Cabal with unwavering loyalty, even as the political landscape around her shifted. The turning point in Braids' career came with the exile of the Patriarch by Chaina, a fellow dementia caster who had risen to prominence within the Cabal. With the Patriarch gone, Braids began experiencing visions of Kuba, one of the enigmatic deities of Dominaria. These visions, persistent and unrelenting, drove her southward to Afeto, a city steeped in darkness and intrigue. It was here that Braids' path once again crossed with the Patriarch, now a fugitive but still a man of considerable influence. He instructed Braids to prepare Afeto for his arrival, a task she undertook with her characteristic efficiency. For her loyalty, she was rewarded with the position of second in command, a role that allowed her to wield significant power within the Cabal's ranks. In Afeto, Braids encountered Laquatus once more. The merman, still fixated on obtaining the mirari, proposed an alliance with the Cabal to retrieve the artifact from Cabal, a formidable barbarian who had recently come into possession of it. Braids relayed the request to the Patriarch, who agreed to the plan. Thus, Braids was dispatched with a contingent of serpent assassins, creatures of nightmare conjured by Chainer to hunt down Cabal. The mission was brutal, marked by the slaughter of countless innocents, but ultimately unsuccessful. Cabal and his allies proved too powerful, and Braids returned to Affetto empty-handed, her failure a rare blemish on her otherwise impeccable record. The events that followed saw Braids drawn deeper into the maelstrom of the Cabal's conflicts. She played a pivotal role in the capture of Jessica, Cabal's sister, who was subsequently transformed into the malevolent Phage by the Patriarch. Braids was tasked with overseeing Phage, a responsibility that underscored her standing within the Cabal. Yet, even as she navigated these treacherous waters, the toll of her dementia magic began to wear on her. The visions that had once been her strength now threatened to consume her entirely. Braids' descent into madness culminated in her becoming trapped within her own dementia space, a nightmarish realm of her own creation where she was tormented endlessly by the very creatures she had once controlled. For a time, her fate remained uncertain, her existence in this hellish dimension a grim testament to the dangers of wielding such unstable magic. It was not until the second Phyrexian invasion that Braids' story took a new turn. Desperate Cabal summoners, seeking to harness her power once more, performed a ritual to drag her back to Dominaria. The ritual succeeded, but at a terrible cost. Braids was split into two entities, one of which was a nightmare made flesh. In this twisted form, Braids allied with Shanna Sisse, Tiana and Rafwin Capashen, joining forces to hunt down and destroy her shard self. A confrontation that ended with the witnessing of the Weatherlight's completion. Now, with her mind and body fractured but her resolve unbroken, Braids seeks to lead the Cabal into a new era, a golden age born from the ashes of the past. Her story is far from over, and the legacy she will leave behind, whether as a leader, a monster, or a martyr, remains to be written. In Braids, the history of Dominaria finds one of its most complex and tragic figures, a woman who danced on the edge of madness, wielding power both terrible and awe-inspiring until the very end.